Hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of CEO Conversations, the Private Practice Podcast. I am so excited for today's episode. I was able to speak with my longtime client, Monique Castro. Monique is a licensed therapist and a certified professional coach and the CEO of Indigenous Circle of Wellness. During this conversation, you are going to hear how at the start of 2025, Monique had aspirations of making $500,000 for the year. And she was actually able to come just shy of $1 million. There was a lot of growth that happened with that. And I lovingly, when she told me that she wanted to make $500,000, I was like, you know what? Let's go for $1 million. So the fact that she is talking about this, it has come to fruition where she almost hit it. It's amazing. So I know that there's so many gems that you can learn from Monique also because we talk about the sustainability when it comes to a 7-figure practice, the sustainability when you have a 7-figure practice, the setup that can happen if you would like to have an 8-figure practice. And so you'll hear over the past couple of years of Monique's journey and what she's going after for 2026. In addition to the team that she had to hire for, the operational system she had to implement, the mindset shift that she had to take on in order for her to get to a place where she did not even think is possible. And so when you're sitting in your practice and you're in the day-to-day, a lot of times what gets missed is what is possible. So it's powerful when you have somebody that can come in and shine a light and say, you know what? We're actually going to do more. And so I'm just really happy that she was in agreement to sit down and talk about her experience inside of working with me and the amazing community that we have with Private Practice CEO and just her journey. So stick around and listen and watch. And I'm excited to introduce you to Monique Castro. All right, enjoy. Welcome to CEO Conversations, the Private Practice Podcast. I'm your host, Brandy Mabra. It's time to show up as a confident leader to create a practice and life you love. All right, so hello, Monique. Welcome to CEO Conversations for the second time. So I'm so excited to have you there. So I appreciate you coming on and chatting through your journey, especially going through 2025. And so for those folks who don't know you, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you again for having me. So my name is Monique Castro. I live in Los Angeles. I am a CEO and founder of Indigenous Circle Wellness. And I've been part of actually Private Practice CEO now for about 2.5 years.
2 years. Yeah, it's going on 2 years.
2 years. Oh my goodness. So started then. And then just a little bit more personal about me. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm an auntie, I'm the eldest sister of 4. Um, and I've been, just working in community, I would say my entire life, but in this professional sense and being a service provider, being a licensed therapist, and now also a certified professional coach. This work is now about almost 18 years of experience, a professional experience, right? So I'm so excited to be here and join you in this conversation.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I think for folks to know the little bit of background too, this is your second time on CEO Conversations. And so you had an amazing episode just talking about purpose-driven work and where you don't have to lose the financial piece because you have a purpose-driven practice. And so I thought that episode was so powerful. I also know that you had originally, when you first started Private Practice CEO, you had a burnout story. And I think especially as healthcare is changing and more things are having to be looked at when it comes to how you can sustainably grow a practice, then talk more about it if you're open about your burnout story.
Yeah, it's a great place to get started. I was reflecting on that and preparing.
Yeah.
Coming here today because, it's a journey. Just to give some context, I started my practice in 2017, had a great deal of growth from 2017 into 2019, got a new office in 2020. Well, guess what? Well, actually, the office came in 2019. 2020, we all know, pandemic. And that was rough in so many ways. fast forward another year from that, I am becoming a mother. I became a mom in 2022. So of course, it takes a while to to get the baby cooking and ready for birth. And then I had a really traumatic birthing experience. Luckily I'm safe and I'm here today to tell the story. But with all that to be said, first of all, just owning and building a business is a lot in itself, and then to go through a global pandemic, to be one of many service providers, but especially our team really showed up and showed out for the community. But that did take a lot out of me. In that process, I built another nonprofit organization. I again, so I we did that. So there's just a lot that was happening. So fast forward to when I met with you 2 years ago, um, I was at a point where I was like, I'm tired. I am so tired. And also, I don't give up easily. So, and of course, like any one of those things along the path could have been like the thing that I'm done. I'm not doing this any longer. Um, but I'm like, no, I need to continue to stay committed to this work. This is my life's work. This is my passion. But I recognize that I'm missing something. There's something missing. There's mentorship that I'm missing. There's things that I don't know yet. I don't know what I don't know yet. So I needed to give myself that opportunity to see what else is possible, and to like kind of recenter myself, and also recenter the business goals and aspirations and where we headed. Um, so I had come already such a long way, and in anyone else's eyes, everyone would be like, "You're so successful. The business is so successful," and it was. I'm not going to discredit that, but I was feeling tired. I at the point where I did not know if I want to continue on in this type of work. Like I got to the point where like I'd rather do anything else at this point than this, because it just felt like so much, and a lot of it had to do with also being a new mother, having postpartum anxiety and depression at the time. So I was navigating a lot, but with a lot of support and a lot of re-grounding and resetting, and then the support of this program, it really reinvigorated my spirit to like, no, this is what I meant to do, and I can do it sustainably, and continue to offer things more than I ever thought was that I could imagine at this point, right? So that point, I was just like, so yeah, 2 years ago, I'm like, I don't know if I even want to do that. Let's go, right? Let's go.
Yeah. No, I remember like the when we first started working together and just your passion. And then I think the throwing in of the towel, as you know, is very common where it's like, I'm done, let me go get a job, because trying to build this practice to the level where I can feel like I have freedom in it, or the sustainability, just doesn't feel possible. So I love the story, because I think it's very much in alignment with even folks who are listening, and just the realness of what can happen as you're trying to build something great and something that's going to make a huge impact on the community, which is what your practice does. I wanted to talk about like this time last year. So when you think about where your practice was this time last year, what was coming up for you and what was happening?
Yeah, so last year, this time, I definitely felt ready for something bigger and new, or some to start building, right? So the year prior to that, it was kind of getting myself back to be regrounded, and also to see what are the strengths that we have as a practice, me as a leader, and then what does my team now? So last year was like, what does my team need from me now to step into further leadership? What do I need to do that? So last year was a lot around my own confidence, and also just having the audacity to step into my own leadership in a new way. And so it was a lot around shifting my identity, from being someone who's like in the weeds with my team, seeing clients day in and day out while also running the practice. I knew that was okay at that moment, but that wasn't going to get us to um, the next iteration of what we're doing in our business, what we're doing to serve community, in the work that we do. So I'm like, okay, I need to start really stepping into what it means for me to be a leader, a CEO, that is really leaning into my core strengths and like my zone of genius. So I did a lot of work last year with you, on my own, with colleagues, friends, like really diving deeper into what what is like my biggest gift to the world, or the top 3 to 5 things, and like really step into that. And so that has been a lot of what the last year has been for me, to the point where, yeah, by this last December, I'm not in the therapy chair anymore. Part of me is like sad because I love therapy, but at the same time, like that wasn't the best use of my time. Now we're hiring more providers, so we're providing careers and, amazing place for folks to work and serving more community. So I had to reshift my mind. It's not me stepping away from something I love to do. It's actually me allowing others to step into what their gifts are, and for me to further step into my gift in, being a leader in this work,
Yes,
right?
absolutely. I think even just hearing you, like where you were at this time last year, and then to go kind of couple of months before that, a few months before that. I always say, like with private practice CEO, like the first year is all about mindset shifts, really stepping into what you want for your practice, clarity, learning new business skill sets, leadership skill sets. And so it was really fun. I'm thinking about the LA retreat where you were like, I'm stepping back from therapy. I'm going to, move from one on one, and gave yourself the deadline to do it. And then starting January for us, like when we were sitting down walking through, like, what is that going to look like for the practice, for you not to be one of the revenue generators and for you to generate revenue in a different way. So I think the growth that you've had has been amazing. So I also know from a financial standpoint, you had a goal that you wanted to go after. So can you talk about some of the goals that you set for yourself going into 2025?
Yes. So the initial goal was, let's get to 500,000, right? And I was like, and that would definitely would have been already an increase in our revenue from the year prior. We would have increased the revenue. And then I remember, Brandy, you saying, let's go for 1 million.
Yeah.
And I was like, and you're like, you can do it. And I was like, really? Like that wasn't even on my radar. It was a possibility, right? So I was like, oh, okay. And so, I mean, yeah, we were already thinking about the growth, but then to like actually make it like a way bigger, growth goal, I was like, okay, and I was like, let's do that. Like that's what I want to work towards. What can make me become, a CEO and leading a team at this revenue point? Um, it meant a lot of things needed to be really, solidified on the back end, right? Our systems, our financials, like so. It made me get really, really like in there, to ensure everything is pretty much prepared for that, to steward that much, money, right? And to sure that it's supporting our team, it's supporting our growth, all the things, right? So yeah, so I remember, yeah, we were like, okay, that was scary, and let's do it. So, yeah, so our team got to work. We
Yes.
set our goals around that goal. And although we didn't quite hit that mark, we got so close, and so outperformed what we originally thought in the first place. And then, for some folks who could see it as like a financial goal, and I think that part's always been kind of uncomfortable for me. But what that translates, for folks that are listening, what that translates to is that I have a team who is all full time now. I have a team who all has healthcare benefits, dental, vision. They can go to the doctors. We have a 401k where we also contribute to, have, a wellness stipend. We have days off, 11 days off throughout the year. They have PTO. We were able to increase everything. So it allowed us to really like, oh, and then of course, how many more folks were able to provide therapy services to and wellness. So it's just that allowed so much of that possible to be possible. And so, but I think for my own money mindset, that was a little like, well, that's a lot of money. And I don't know if we need that much. Like I had to work through that. Right. But as I worked through it, and as we were like, working on all the systems and the team's mindset, my own mindset, all of that, we essentially doubled, well, not doubled, we increased our revenue by 90% from the year prior. Like,
Yes.
feels like I can't believe we did that, but we did that. We did that.
Yes, yes. No, it was really fun just to call you out and to say, like, oh, yeah, let's go for the million. Like, what do you mean? Like, you have an amazing foundation and you had worked really hard even the year prior to set the foundation. So the foundation was ready to go for the million. I think what's been so fun and what I really want to celebrate is oftentimes people will say, like, I want to make more money, but money loves a purpose, right? And so you've given the purpose to the money that has allowed for your team to have a better experience. The other thing is that you had to step up as a leader. So the leadership piece is so important. And so it's more than just, I want to make money. It's like the leader who you need to become to be responsible for that money. And that's where the shift happens. So talk a little bit about the leader that you had to become in order to have that type of growth inside of your practice.
Yeah. So definitely a lot of really a lot of time, I would say a lot of investment too in my own self around that leadership. So I have an extensive history or extensive background in leadership, and yet, I mean, we all have areas to grow in, right? So I had to look and see, where do I need to grow in? So, I pretty much did a double investment in the private practice CEO, because you, Brandy, are able to offer like more dedicated time in different ways. So it's amazing that you have different options as we're also growing. So I appreciate that. And in that, it was like, okay, I actually need more of this one on weekly check-ins and keeping me accountable. Keep me out of the weeds of things, because sometimes I'm like, I'm just going to get in there and fix it. And you're like, no, 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 no. What is a different solution? I'm like, okay, yes, that's right. So like having the accountability. I also challenged myself last year to do things just out of my comfort zone, like speaking at national conferences, traveling to the Cayman Islands to be a facilitator at the retreat for private practice CEO. Um, you know, just kind of putting it out there in different circles and spaces. Like do these speaking engagements, I do workshops. um, I of course have my ecosystem where I feel most comfortable in, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna push out of that, and the worst they can say is no, or um, that's fine, right? But I was just like, I just showed up differently. And so I remember at the top of last year, my word for the year was the confidence. And so I'm like, in everything I'm doing, I'm going to go in with confidence, and really not doing anything necessarily new, but it's really looking back at what I've already accomplished and just like shining a stronger light on it, and not shying away from what I have now truly known to be true, is that I am a strong leader. I am strategic. I am a futurist, someone who can see things into the future and like, have great ideas. Um, so it took me to like be um to see myself differently, like really, I guess, truly for who I am, um, and not kind of hide away in the peripherals of things. Um, so yeah, I was more visible last year in a lot of ways. I was on doing videos online. I started a YouTube channel for my personal kind of branding, and also for the practice. So just kind of like really being visible, I think, was one of the things that was new for me. um, and then also again, just like remembering, right? Like, oh yeah, I've done all this. I did this. Why am I like hiding away? Like, um, so it was like really stepping into like that light more fully, and embracing that was, I think, a huge shift for me.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I think even with the group dynamic, what was fun is because in the beginning, you would just listen. And then toward like now you are a voice of authority, right? You speak, you give advice, you help with the group, and I just think that that is just so amazing to watch your shift and for you to go to being in the background to now being visible, and then to watch you even in the market and to see how visible you are. It's just been amazing to watch. I think also I want to talk about the additional hires that you had to do inside of your practice as well, because the team had to change. Your leadership had to change. The team to help you get there had to change. So talk a little bit more about your team dynamic.
Yeah, so there was several shifts that needed to be made. Again, not really necessarily doing anything new, but refining and making it better. So, for example, for the past 5 years, and at that time 4 years, I had a director of operations, or I had someone in operations. And in her position, she's incredible. And so, like, she had worked her way up into into this director role. But I'm like, I actually need but she was part time for the last year. She was part time, so I was like, I need a full time person in this operational role. And as a matter of fact, I need someone who's going to be in a upper management, like in like with me full time and so forth. So we actually I offered her a full time position. So that was what I want you to bring you on full time. And she also got a promotion. So she is now our executive director of operations, not just our director of operations, which essentially means that she makes me and her make a lot of decisions together, and she also is able to make a handful of decisions on her own without me having to be in the day to day with her. So that was huge because it was an investment of in her, an investment in our business, and to really have her with us on this full time role is a game changer. So it was something I had to propose to her, see if that was in alignment for her. This is what I know our practice needs. I would love for that to be you. Luckily, she said yes. And so she transitioned with us from her previous role with a different organization with us full time towards the end of the summer. And so she's now in that full time role. The other is that we had a lot of part time therapists on our team where which worked over the years. It was fine. Folks had, they have their like maybe their main job or several jobs, and like we were part time with us, and that worked. But not where we were headed, not at the scale that we're trying to show up in community, at the ways in which we want to really make an impact in the work that we're doing. It really does require like the entire team to be full time. But being full time also comes with a responsibility from me as the owner, is that I want to make sure that my team is also well taken care of. And that might not be for, I don't know, I hope every owner thinks like that, to have their team taken care of. But for me, that's very important. I'm not going to ask you to work with us 40 hours a week, and we can't offer you more than just the paycheck. Like, I want to make sure that it's a holistic way of support, just how we like pretty much practice what we preach, right? So we did that. So we had to be strategic on that. Like, okay, who's our first full time hire? And then everyone after that is like, this is full time. Like, even if they start off part time to help with caseload buildup, it's the goal is to have you full time. But I have to make sure on the back end that we're, financially secure. We also have the financial support. And what I mean by that is also having like a fractional CFO. So at this point, we do, as we enter 2026, we do now have a fractional CFO. We have a full time executive director of operations. We have a full time clinical director, and then full time therapists and wellness providers. And we're growing. We're hiring right now. So anyone you're in California.
There's a plug. There's a plug. Yes. So no, I think that's important because oftentimes people will ask like, what does it take? And so I know that there's listeners at all revenue levels that are listening to this. And I think also people are nervous where they think like, if I hire, especially when it comes to admin, right, the operations role, I'm going to lose money. And you are a prime example of what happens when you hire the right team. You have a very engaged team and that is really bought into your mission and vision. Then you'll make more money when you do that. And the impact that you make will be, better and so much more rich when you decide to do that. I do want to tap into operationally because where you're at now and what even the plan is for 2026, because you're still part of Private Practice CEO because you have, bigger goals for 2026. Where are you at now for the growth, and what is your main focus?
Yeah, thank you for asking. I just wanted, and this actually goes into the operational side of things. I forgot to mention, I hired I won't say my first time. It is my first full-time executive assistant. I had not had an executive assistant for the past like 5 years. So I hired an executive assistant full-time. That was also a game changer, and that supports me in so many different ways. Um, and so that's part of the operational side of things as well, because she takes on so much of the things, like for me to stay out of the weeds of stuff and just like handles it so I can be super present in the work that needs that is really like where my attention and time should be at, right? We also then hired a clinical assistant that was initially starting full time and is now full time. So again, our entire team at this point is all full time. But it didn't all happen at once. It was very strategic because it has to be sustainable, and also sustainable both on my how can I lead each person, and like the leaders that are already within the team, how are they equipped to then lead their supervisees, right? So anyhow, with all that to be said, we had to pretty much fine tune things on the back end internally to make sure we were ready. And now where we're at is that we've been working to set up everything for a new program that actually just launched yesterday.
Yay!
A new program, which is our Circle of Wellness EAP. And that is requiring another level of infrastructure to sustain more contracts, to sustain a larger team. So, as far as like projections or kind of like what the plan is this year, is that we are going to focus on our EAP program. And so, with that growth, is going to require us to hire. So, we're going to go from a clinical team right now of 4 to most likely a clinical team of about 10 by the end of the year. So we have a strategy for like our hiring and our process for that. As mentioned, we have our fractional CFO who is helping us on the back end to ensure that we have everything in our financial side of things like ready to go. We also invested in some systems that can help with the flow of things and also different automations. Um, New contracts. So I also hired an attorney to work on all of our contracts to make sure everything is sound and ready to go as well. So everything in the past several months has been really dedicated to making sure that we are ready. So we just launched the announcement of the program, and we'll officially start our new contracts come this spring. And then we continue to grow in that as we have more contracts, we're seeing more clients. So our growth plan this year is really to reach our revenue goal this year, and based off the number of contracts and our team size, we should be able to reach 3 million.
You'd say it again. You said it.
We are going to 3 million. And again, what that translates to is more folks in this field that have secure, sustainable jobs that they love, community members who receive quality mental health and wellness care, both throughout the state of California and nationally. It's allowing us to just really have a bigger reach in so many different ways. So I'm so excited. I can't even believe I just said that. I just said that.
Right.
We're set up for that, right?
Yes, you are.
Everything set up is for that purpose. And so, yeah, there's a lot of things on behind the scenes, like internally as a team, that we've had to just be more like diligent around. More meetings, like our management team meeting is meeting every single week. Before we would meet like every other week. Now it's every week, longer periods of time. Um, we just have to. We're getting ready. You know what? No, we're not getting ready. We are ready.
You are ready. Yes. You are ready. You are ready.
We're definitely ready, but we've been working on that, since last year. So it definitely didn't happen overnight. Even this program, this launch, it was something that's been in conversation since last spring. And we did a pilot program to see how sustainable it would be. And then now we're like, yep, it worked. That organization loved it. They're telling their organizational friends, and now we have, we're going to continue to keep that momentum going and serve more folks um, throughout the state and the country.
Yes, absolutely. I think with your practice is ready for the next level of growth. And I think folks forget about that. Like the foundation has to be strong so that way the growth doesn't break the practice. So you are ready for the multi-million dollar practice because you have everybody in place, you've trained up your team, and then also you've trained them up last year and the year before. So this isn't new to them, right? You've taken on like a proactive leadership compared to like the reactive leadership. And I think it's just so fun to watch your growth. I think that it's just amazing and it's still purpose driven, right? And in so many ways, like just the amount of community partners that you have, this from what you do for the Indigenous community. I mean, I just, Monique, you were just so amazing. So I wanted to take the time to talk about what's happening in your practice because I think it deserves to be celebrated. I think that you like just showing people what's possible because I know for you, you did not think that this was possible, but it is possible. Like you don't have to settle for just whatever. And if you have a big vision, which I knew that you did, then that vision is completely possible. But there is risk that's on the other side of it. There's some hard decisions that you've had to make, there's hard conversations that you've had to have, but you've done it, So I cannot wait for the growth that you would have. So for anybody who might be on the fence of thinking, I don't need mentorship or I can do this on my own, or maybe it's just settling in their vision, what advice do you have for them?
Oh my goodness. So we need support. We all need support. Even actually the greatest coaches need coaches. Brandy, I think you're an amazing coach, and I know you have a coach, right? We all have support because we need someone to be out of our everyday to see us fully, as well as see like the practice from like a bird's eyes view. And so I work with some amazing leaders, right, as their coach. Sometimes I'm like, what? That was some good coaching right there. Like, for yourself, right? Like you can be a coach for others, but you need a coach too. We all need support. So, I will say that I know I needed the support. And at that moment, 2 years ago, it was just to keep me in this work because I was burned out. If you would ask me 2 years ago if I'd be here today in this way, I've far exceeded every possibility
Yeah.
that I thought was possible. And it's not because I think I didn't, not because I don't think I'm an ambitious person, but I honestly feel like at that point I was like, I've already done this like practice. I'm already like, I how can I possibly do anything more? But when you have the right support, mentorship, guidance, and someone to be able to see it even bigger than you and what's possible, it's a game changer. So, and that's what you've done. Like you really supported me and like reminded me, no, Monique, like your systems are like top tier. And because you work with so many other private practice owners, I was like, oh, so it is. So I thought it was pretty good. I think I'm a pretty good operations person. But when someone like yourself who's been working in this industry with so many providers and you tell me that, I'm like, oh, she's not just like trying to hype me up. She's like, she's being honest. Cause I really feel like the way that you also show up is you're very honest, you're honest. And so I'm like, okay, well, she said that it's really good. Then it has to be pretty good. Like, so that's when you push and say, hey, no, try it. Like you can do this. I'm like, oh yeah, then we did it. Right. So um, and I also want to preface to like 2 years ago, that wasn't the goal. It wasn't the 3 million mark. That first million came last year as an idea, as a possibility, and what would be what would be a I won't say what the word is, but essentially like what could be possible with that? Like what comes with that, right? And there's now another goal. And so I'm realizing, and also because I've done a lot of leadership assessments and different types of things, and also working with you, working with other folks, is like I'm really at the point where I'm like, I think I can really do anything. Like
Yes.
I know I can, because what I've already done is really, it's not that easy, right? It's not, and also it's not impossible with the right support, the right systems, the right all the things. But it takes time. So yeah, so just in reflecting from last year in itself, I definitely with that confidence leaned into that. Um, Worked on that. My team has shared back with me like and as an essence, I'm still the same person, right? They're like, you're still Monique, you're like who we know, but as a leader, like wow, you really like stepped up like in a whole different way. And I think part of me at one point I thought, well, stepping up as a leader means I have to sh- um, shed who I am as a person internally, like at my core, and that's not true. I'm still unique. I'm still that like, I hope like kind of like easygoing person who's like relatable and brings a good work culture. Um, and that is true. Like they share that, yeah, no, you still that. And I also see that you are more bold and you're more like, the way that you're just showing up is differently. So it's really awesome to also hear and see that reflection from my team and from my family. My husband even just like, oh my gosh, like it's amazing. Like, so yeah, there's been a lot of just a lot of things to reflect on. So I get I'm even thinking about like, oh my gosh, there's been so much just in the last few years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's always amazing when people outside looking in and can see the difference. And I also think that the fact that you kept who you are core, and I've met your team, and your team just adores you, and they are just the ride or die team that is like, you say it, okay, that's it. And I think when you have an engaged team that truly, truly, truly has buy-in, you can't accomplish anything. So I'm so excited for what 2026 has for you. I'm excited to continue our journey together, and I just appreciate you sharing your story. Is there any last nuggets of information or wisdom that you want to provide?
I would say, for anyone that's in that, at kind of like where I was at 2 years ago, where you're feeling really burned out, maybe you've just been giving your hardest and it's just been really challenging. Definitely don't give up. Just find the right support. And it doesn't mean you have to catapult yourself into anything. It's step by step, little by little. But if you are in your heart, know that this work is what you're meant to do, whatever that is. Sometimes it's not that, yes, it is some working on like healing and like the wellness piece. It is that because I had to do a lot of that. But it's also like identifying the right coach, right? Brandy is my right coach, right? I'm so glad that I found you, and even how I found you was because I was working with another like group, and you were a guest speaker, and I didn't even attend live the day that you were there. I just happened to go to the replay, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like I just like her energy, like the way she talks, so you will be surprised where you find your coach, your support, right? Um, and so much has been possible. And I didn't speak to this earlier, but I am going to say this just because I know the listeners are probably also like, if they're not already curious about joining your program, they should be. And I was just going to add some stuff to there. Part of it is not just the coaching, the individual coaching that's incredible and like top tier. It is also that I'm part of a community of credible women across the country who are CEOs. Um, Majority of them being women of color, which like is something I needed also is to just be with other CEOs. The friendships that I've made, the just being able to, know that there's someone across the country that I can go visit, like seeing each other at the retreats, having the retreats is so powerful and beautiful. Um, all of that is included in being part of this program. And that is, it's invaluable. Like there's just so much that comes with it. And I'm forever grateful that, Creator placed you in my path, and that we'll continue to work together in various ways, in this way, and continuing like coaching and who knows what else, right? But um, I'm definitely just grateful. And yeah, so I guess if I'm gonna again just circle back to the pin thing, like if you are at that moment, find that support and know that private practice CEO is one of the options. Whether that be now or later, it's something that I would say you should consider.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I do. Our community is just fire. I always say, like, you guys are the elite of private practice owners. I mean, it's just top tier between the friendships, the ideas, the innovation that happens amongst your practices. I mean, I just feel blessed, very, very blessed. So thank you for sharing, and thank you for just the opportunity to be able to work with you. And I'm just so grateful. I'm grateful too. So thank you. Thank you. So for those who are listening, who are curious or they need a job, then where can people find you?
So our website is icowellness.com. That's a great place to kind of see all the work that we're doing. On our socials, it's at Indigenous Circle of Wellness or Indigenous Circle, just depending on what platform. But we're pretty much on all the platforms, whether that be Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok. You can find us. And then if you want to reach out to me directly and just say hi or follow me, my Instagram is at Monique Castro, MoniqueCastro.coach. So I'm on Instagram. I'm mostly active there. But those are some ways to connect with us and see what we're doing or what I'm doing. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you, Monique. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
So we will see everyone next time, and I'll talk to you soon. All right. Bye. Thanks for listening today. I hope you enjoyed the episode and it empowers you as the CEO of your practice. If you enjoyed the podcast, please make sure you subscribe, share the message, and leave a review. If you want more information and support in growing and scaling your practice, click the link in the show notes to take advantage of our free resources or apply to work with me directly. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.